All right, all right. Here we go again. It's another week of From the Margins with Jimmy Afont and David Washington. Hello again, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Good to be seen, like they say back home.
Indeed. Oh boy, we had Hurricane Helene come through, and I've seen some pictures out of the Panhandle and off the Gulf Coast, and it doesn't look good. It's unfortunate.
No, it sure doesn't look good at all. And the fact that we were basically spared here in Central Florida does not mean that we don't have a responsibility to our fellow Floridians who are up there to help them and do whatever we can for them.
Indeed, indeed, you're 100% correct. Let's hope that for those who made it through, that they get the relief that they need, and God bless Florida. So, speaking of what's going on here in Florida, we've got less than actually 45 days, maybe closer to 40 days as of this recording, until the November 5th election. How you feel? What's
Well,
going through your mind?
let's start from the beginning. You could say there were 45 days or 43 days, but technically people could go and vote today. So how many people are going to early vote? How many people are going to vote by mail, which already should have their ballots? let's let's be blunt. Uh, the percentage that's going to vote on November 5th might be 30 to 40% tops.
Mhm. Sure.
The rest is going to vote early. So if you don't persuade them by the end of next week, you might have a serious problem. If you don't convince people that they're better off voting XYZ, you might have a problem because
Yeah.
once the ballot is sent, you can send them all the literature you want, but you're wasting your time, money, and energy because they already voted. If they voted for you, you wasted your time, energy, and money. If they voted against you, you're wasting your time, your energy, and your money. So this is the week, in my opinion, that the campaigns should really concentrate on. Anything else or less than that, honestly, I don't foresee any way future for past that. Election day is more of a formality, but
Yeah.
the amount of people who have requested ballot by mail, at least in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County, is large. The large amount of people who are probably going to vote early is large. So I would be honest, thinking that you have 45 days, it could be a crucial mistake if you're running a campaign.
I agree with you. We had the military and overseas out of state ballots go out last week. And this week, the domestic, Florida domestic vote by mail ballots go out today. They can legally go out today. So I'm sure we'll be seeing those ballots in the mailboxes. And I agree. If you're not persuaded by now, I don't know. I don't know what to say. However, on the campaign side, it's a matter of turnout now. Campaigns should know who their voters are, who their tried and true voters are, those hardcore supporters and voters that are you can count on your base. And then they should also have an idea of those voters who are on the peripheral, those individuals who maybe vote during general elections. And most voters do vote during the general election. And so you go after those folks, and you deploy whatever appropriate and efficient tool that you decided in your campaign to get after those votes.
And let's hope that the campaigns follow through with what you just said and what I said, because I'm hearing that there are going to be big rallies and on November 4th. And
Why?
why? Yes, why? Why? Because at that point, most people who like to vote uh, in person are very people who are already committed by mind what they're going to do to. So realistically, it's good for the campaign. It shows that there's uh, of power out there. That shows that there's energy. All these other things, only to face that you didn't run your campaign effectively. This is the week that you need to be calling. You need to be sending out mail and everything. Let's get honest. You're right. Today goes out the ballots for locals. Today should go out your literature for those who are receiving a vote by mail. And for the record, we all know all you have to do is request that information from the supervisor election. It is public records. It's not, oh, this is something sacred like some people try to pretend. No, it isn't. You go there, you know who it is, and literally they will be telling you, David Washington voted. You scratch him out of your list. You
That's right.
receive James O. Ballot. You scratch him out of your list. You call these people, you knock on their doors, and everything else. The other thing is that if you're like District 1, 3, or 5, you make sure that the 8 or 9 early voting sites that might attract people from District 5, that you have people there contacting them, making sure that they vote, that they have the information, particularly that they downvote, because many of them might go in there to vote for the president and maybe even for the senator or
Right.
their congressman, but they tend not to go further down, get them to go down, work as much as you can with with the other state campaigns and making sure that they're there and helping you. But the other issue is, I would like to see what the people who are trying to follow through on the uh, county amendments, what their strategy has been, because I have not seen it at all. Okay, I have received literature for
Yeah.
3, 4. That's it. 1 and 2, I've received nothing.
Right. I've received, I don't think I've received anything since the primary for any of the amendment initiatives. And that includes the Florida constitutional amendments and the Orange County um, charter amendments. So, and I'm a super duper voter, and
So am
I,
I. And again, this is what I'm trying to prove here, Dave. Is next week people will be voting, and if you
yes.
have not sent your literature to these people who will be voting, you're committing political malpractice.
And I'm afraid to say, however, it's the truth. You're right. It is political malpractice, unfortunately. Folks, this should be, and I've always said, by the Saturday before Election Day, a campaign should know where it stands as far as its probability of winning. The data is there. You do the appropriate analysis, which I'm not going to give away because I get paid to do that. However, there's a way to predict if you're going to win or not. And if you are able to assess that based on the data that is present and the data, historical data, you should be moving towards that direction. And right now, as we've been talking about, it's very, very crucial that campaigns in these waning days of the election cycle chase after those vote by mail ballots, make sure that people get to the early voting sites if they intend to get to the early voting sites by making sure that that information is available on the campaign's own website, which of course will be on the local supervisor of elections website, but the campaign's website and their socials. And you just put that, you just make sure on the socials that that information is going out every day as a reminder. And then again, chase after people who have requested a vote by mail ballot. Keep chasing after them, and make sure that they do turn in their ballot. And then those that you identified as early voters, let them know that you do exist, and chase after them too.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. At this point, very soon, your ability to raise funds is going to be disappeared, gone. At that point, my phone will stop ringing less often, with texts asking me for money from every other place in the under the sun. So it's that's one thing. You
Right.
are wrapping up. Now is the time that you take your computer, you take your laptop, you send out 200 emails every 5 minutes to the people that you know that you think
Mhm.
might vote for you. Do it. And even if they don't open it, but they say it's David Washington and the subject is please vote for me, and you accomplish your goal. Opening it is not exactly what you it's the ultimate goal, but it's not necessarily the other. And
Right.
how much does that cost you? Relatively nothing. The problem is that sometimes people tend to think in the old terms of how to run a campaign. And the old terms of running a campaign is not working anymore. It has
Mhm.
not worked for the last two elections. Okay? It's not
That's right.
at all. So,
I agree.
what else do we think is happening in Florida that we need to discuss?
Oh boy. So, we've got early voting, which we've talked about. Again, uh, Jimmy, this is a an election cycle that has been perplexing to me for everything that is at stake, according to the different campaigns. Essential, what's the word? I can't even think of it right now. Existential crisis. There is silence. There's very little conversation. I don't see, the yard signs and other um, publicity out in the streets. I think that's partly because different municipalities and the counties have cracked down on yard signs in public spaces. But still, I'm not seeing yard signs on lawns and throughout the county as I used to. I did. Oh, I meant to post this the other day, but I did see a yard sign in the Thornton Park area. Two yard signs. One was Representative Anna Escamani's, and the other was candidate for Orange County District 5, Steve Leary. And I took a picture of that. I was like, wow, that is that's a contradiction in politics there. It was very, very odd to see. However, we do see the dichotomy of issues and candidates, and maybe there's a personal relationship with one of the candidates, or even both of the candidates, whereas they put those signs in their yards. But definitely, you're looking at two opposite ends of the political spectrum. I found that a little bit humorous.
Oh, yeah. And that is not the first time. Last
Yeah.
cycle, I saw Ana Escamante's sign with a Donald Trump sign the same in Winter Park, which that one blew my mind, but made no
It,
sense. But
it goes to show that elections are local, and you may favor someone like an Escamani at the local level, but nationally you think that the nation's in better hands with Donald J. Trump. So yeah, that is quite funny. And speaking of voters, we have the media, legacy media forever talking about, and I think they realize it's a very slow and relatively quiet election cycle. But every other news opinion show is talking about polling and talking about these undecideds, which I've called the unpersuadables. And the polling shows on the national level a neck and neck race between the two presidential candidates. And of course, the polling is different in other areas. But at the national level, um, we hear a great conversation about the unpersuadables or the um, undecideds. What's going on there, Jimmy?
Uh, Two things. One, you and I are political junkies. I have never received a call or anything in the mail asking me my political opinion. I'm not
Mhm.
sure why, but I've never. And everybody that I know, I go, "Hey, have you?" No, I've never been told. Hey, no, yet. So at times I wonder if these are manufactured, but that's beside the point.
Uh,
Uh, uh, who picks up the phones? I mean, right now, if I said phone number I don't recognize, you and I let it go to voicemail.
yes,
That's the truth. So, the, I'm not sure who is picking up what areas and what are you doing now. How reliable are polls? Even the people who talk on TV say that the last two elections they haven't been very reliable. That's their even
right.
comment. Yeah, they're not reliable. Of course, they're not reliable because they're manufactured. Uh, the truth of the matter is that right now people are entrenched in their own parks. Those who are going to vote for Trump are going to vote for Trump. Those who are going to vote for Harris are going to vote for Harris. Yeah, there's a small percentage of people, and I'm going to call them out, that think that they both don't persuade them to vote. And there are a bunch of people who are sick and tired of voting for the least of two evils.
Yes,
So, yes, the question is, should be more asked, are you going to vote? There's one issue that is never discussed by the media because it's not in their best interest to discuss it, but you have a more than a 45% of the U.S. population who in 2020 did not vote. Oh, the pandemic, and not really. The year before, it was 42%. So it was a little higher. Maybe you could blame the pandemic, but I'm not sure how much could you. The truth of the matter is that there's a lot of people who are fed up, don't have a leader, don't they don't see either of them as their leader, so they really might not vote. And if you call them, they say I'm undecided. You might want to ask them, well, are you going to vote? Because if they say probably not, then don't count them in a tabulation. Because realistically, yes. And when you say, well, there's only 48 and 45, look, that's high
right.
because we know that we are deciding elections with 50 plus one and pushing it nationwide. So it is. Unless you could get a bad bunny, your elections are fried.
Good point. Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. He put his own money, he's put up billboards, and he's trying to motivate the people saying, hey, this party failed you, this party failed you. It's time for a change. And even the elder are listening to it. So,
Good for Bad Bunny. Good for Bad Bunny. Is it Bad Bunny? Not a big fan of Bad Bunny. However, I do like the fact that he is advocating, for people to be civically engaged. And so
oh,
good for him.
and he has an audience there.
Oh yeah.
No, not for his music. That's where
Oh,
people get
okay.
confused. He goes to towns around the island, sits down with a laptop, bring me your electrical bills. People will bring him his electrical bills. He would just take his credit card and he will pay them for them. Uh,
Get
yeah.
out.
And he says, well, I have more money than I can spend. Let me spend something useful. That is his answer. So yeah, he has a following there.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Wow. That is very awesome. Jimmy, speaking of polling and these undecideds and unpersuadables, have you seen any polling specifically for Florida and Central Florida and Orange County in particular?
No, let me tell you why. Florida
Hmm.
Democratic Party doesn't have the funds. They're wasting on other things. They never have spent any money in polling. Uh, Debbie's campaign, which might want to poll Florida, I don't think has the resources to do so.
Hmm.
And I mean that respectfully. I don't mean that she is not interested. She just doesn't have the resources. And basically, the Harris campaign realizes they're not going to win Florida, so they're not going to spend any money on
Right.
polling in Florida. So
Right.
it's the perfect storm, like I like to say. You know, uh, I can't think of any candidate in Orange County has any money to do any polling.
No,
I
I,
agree.
I
So,
agree. I
so
mean,
this,
I am sure that I'm pretty sure that the Republicans are always polling. Their campaigns are driven by polling. And
I don't think they did. I think the hoteliers did,
okay, sure, sure,
and they're only scared.
they are. They are.
Yes.
The amount of investment that was alleged to be in the District 1, the District 5, and the District 3 races, I haven't seen it. I don't know. Maybe, they're like, okay, we're going to scratch out, David Washington's name on our list because he talks too much on his podcast. But however, Jimmy, I'm not seeing, the dollars in the community. I'm really not.
Well, I walk my community and I've asked, hey, have you received any literature? None. I live
Hmm.
in the district and I talk to my neighbors. I have relatives who live in the district. I have two nieces, a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law who live in the district who are registered voters, all super voters, and none of them have received anything. So no,
Amazing.
it's not there.
It's amazing. And we're right in the thick of the peak hurricane season. So, there's three disturbances out in the Atlantic and in the Carib. Anything can happen. You want to get ahead if you're going to use mailers, which again is an old technology. You better get those things out there, or they're going to be right in the garbage or flying all over the place during the next tropical storm or hurricane. I just don't get it, Jimmy. I really don't.
I
And
do. I do. I think that they're thinking that they could do it at the last moment and it's going to be persuasive. I received four mailers from Steve Laurie on Saturday, the Monday of before the election, and on Tuesday. And if
mhm.
they're going to waste their money doing that, they're stupid.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yes, and speaking of Steve Leary and all of the county commissioner candidates, they are earning earned media. The Orlando Sentinel seems to be a mouthpiece for the Democrat or the liberal candidates. I think a week hasn't passed, and sometimes it's been every other day that there's an article about or a opinion piece or a blog piece, either from the Orlando Sentinel or someone adjacent to the Sentinel, speaking about okay, we've got these three candidates who refuse to answer questions about what they'll do for the the hospitality and lodging community businesses. But we've got three who already said that they're not going to do or go out of their way for that particular lobby. And then of course we got the annexation issues between Orlando City, Deseret Ranch development, and also Orange County. So it seems like there is a concerted effort by the Orlando Sentinel to keep some of these issues in the news and drum up some type of excitement to persuade people to come out to vote.
Oh, they did it the last turn around, and we keep forgetting. That's
Yeah.
why Betsy's no longer a commissioner. They keep bringing out all
Mhm.
her conflicts of interest, all her contracting companies, and how they were doing business with the people they were approving to get permits to build and stuff like that. Yeah, And the Orlando Sentinels trying to demonstrate that they are trying to be as pro the community as they can, even though it's a newspaper that I hate to say is disappearing. I mean, like most
That's true.
written media, it's disappearing. It's not because they're not doing a good job. It's because most written media disappeared. I mean, nobody under 50 really reads a newspaper. Let's put it bluntly. Everybody reads it online. As a matter of fact, I think there's more subscriptions on the Orlando Sentinel online than there are of people receiving the newspaper.
That's true. And if I remember their demographics correctly, their demographic that is subscribed to the Sentinel is on average 46 years old, upper middle class demographic professionals. And it doesn't, it doesn't really reach a broad subscriber base, let alone the broad um, electoral base.
No, it doesn't, and that's why you would look at at this week's Sentinel. You're going to see no political advertisements. That's the
Yes,
truth of the
that's
matter. You know, nobody who knows anything about campaign would say, "Hey, let's put $1,000 ad in the Sentinel." It's not going to help you at all.
it's not. It's just not. And the Sentinel has been they've been wrong on a lot of their endorsements also, and it's hard to forgive them for some of those decisions because it appears that somebody was whispering in their ear, and I know for a fact that there are certain members of the community that they do talk to on a regular basis, but not a broad demographic of people to give them a better understanding of the larger populace. That I do know for sure.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, it used to be called the kiss of death. Their endorsements. It started to take some more better effect in the from the 2000, I would say, six to present, but still there's some endorsements that you just sit there and look at them. Uh, but at the
Yeah,
same time, they're what I would call logical. I remember the first time that Emily ran, and she ran against an incumbent who was well liked by the media because he responded to their questions
yeah,
and was a personable person. His political decision was stupid, but that was an issue for another day. But that they did endorse a somebody that most people did not give much of a chance, if we're going to be honest, over him. So yes, that is the same. The same what happened with Maribel. The same happened with uh, even uh, I'm trying to think of even Nicole. I don't think Nicole got the endorsement the first time around.
I think because they were so involved in reporting Commissioner Vanderlei's perceived conflicts that they did endorse her, if I remember correctly, just by the sheer fact that they were given
Oh yeah,
information
you're
about
right.
the.
They
Mhm.
her endorsement was how bad Bessie was. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, it was the pandemic year, and it was low voter engagement because of COVID, and people um, just weren't reached the way that they usually were, and that was sensational reporting that got people motivated in District One.
Yeah, and particularly during the pandemic when people were reading more because they couldn't be outside.
That's right. That's correct. You're right, Jimmy. You're right. I know, and I look at the Sentinel. I look at their past endorsements, which is available online, and I look at the people that they endorse in the past, and then I look at their current reporting, and even with Scott Maxwell, and I say, wait a second, you guys are railing against the same people that you endorsed for elected office, and they won. I was like, okay, are they wrong? Are these elected officials wrong now, or and you had to change your heart, or you just didn't do your diligence in asking the right questions and talking to the right people to let you know that, okay, this is really what this particular candidate is moving in this type of way versus the other type of way. And I particularly bring that up in regards to City of Orlando elections.
Well, up in the city of Orlando elections, let's see. Has there really been any candidates running? When's the last time that the mayor had a contested election? I can't remember really.
He
Buddy
his
Dyer just goes and comes, and nobody really runs against him. Uh, right now, in the past election, I cannot, other than there was an election because there was a removal of an incumbent. Okay, let's be. There was an election there, but
right, right.
to be honest, there elections in the city of Orlando are a joke, and some of the crazy people who put their names in uh, scare the daylight out of a lot of people.
That's
Well,
true.
between this crazy person and this not so nice person, I'll go with the not so nice person, and
Right.
that's one of the things that has always fascinated me.
I know that Buddy Dyer, Mayor Dyer, has had competition last year. I believe Sam Ings ran again. I forgot the name of the Republican. I think his last name is Smith, but I may be incorrect. I met him at Orange County Watch, and I can't remember his name. He started late, but Sam Ings ran again, former Commissioner Ings. And before that, we had 4 years ago, 6 years ago, we had Aretha Simons and Sam Ings again. And, the turnout is horrible. It's typically under 15%. And
On purpose.
yes, that's correct, on purpose. And it favors the incumbents across the board.
Yeah.
And of course, the Orlando Signal has given the stamp of approval on every single last one of them. And
Oh
now,
yeah. Well, let's be honest. Compared to the experience that Buddy Dyer has as mayor and the accomplishments that the city has done, not him, but the city, uh, you know, Smith, you're right. He came in late, and I was not even sure for what he standing for, to be
right,
blunt, because he really never got into that issue that much. He was more Buddy Dyer sucks, so vote me in, which I think is a strategy that's never worked, but some people still think it does. Uh, and
yeah.
Inks, hey, he lost the first time, and he ran the second time, committing the same campaign, just to prove that Einstein is correct.
And that's the theory of definitely not
Well,
this.
that is the definition of insanity. Is
Yeah.
repeating the same act, expecting a different result. He ran both campaigns the same way.
Yeah, he
Okay,
did. He did.
so
And
it's
I don't understand it. And it seems like when candidates run for office and create these campaigns, they don't realize that it's political science, not just political, but there's a science to this.
but there is a science, but in their mind, they're the good guy. They're the ones going to bring change, and the other guy is bad. And really, all I have to do is follow certain patterns that have been set down for the last 25 years, and I should win. And not that easy. Sorry, it's not really not that easy
I
at all.
understand. I understand. Well, any final thoughts?
Well, we're in the final race of this campaign. I'm going to predict that on election day, you and I will be surprised of nothing. And if anything, in the next 2 weeks, let's pray that nobody screws up.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
agree.
other than that, I'm at this point thinking that next week what we need to concentrate is in the national elections. I
Okay.
really am concerned that I think that both sides are kind of cocky that they're going to win. And again, you say political science. This is not about Florida. Florida is not going to be one. This is
Yeah.
about Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and I'm forgetting one state.
North Carolina.
North Carolina is North Carolina. Those states will make it or break it. Okay, and I really think that the two ones that are going to become the more crucial ones are
Mhm.
Arizona and are North Carolina, in which I'm going to put my mouth where my money is. Both of the polls are wrong. Let me put
Mm.
it this way. In Arizona, I've talked to two of my friends. There's been zero, zero, zero polling in the Hispanic community.
Really?
Yep. It's all
Wow.
been in the affluent community. It's all been in the big cities. But yeah, registered voters are more than 50 years old.
Hmm.
So they won't call you, David.
Yeah, they won't, I guess. Again, Jimmy, this is the oddest election cycle that I've experienced in my what 30 odd years of
Other than 2016,
other than 2016. I
where a lot of
believe it
my
or not.
fellow Democrats were had hotel reservations for the inauguration.
DC. Hey, all I remember is winning that day, election night, and seeing a lot of long Democratic faces that night. Um, I was telling my mother the other day that I saw a lot of Trump signs on lawns, people's lawns, not on the parkways, not on public spaces, but on people's lawns. That's where I saw a Trump sign next to an Emily Bonilla sign. I was like, something's going on. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, don't don't underestimate Donald Trump. And November election night, Donald Trump wins.
And that's what I keep telling people: do not underestimate. Anything can happen. Okay. Even though I must say one thing, I'm more impressed this time around with the machinery of the Democrats than I was in 2016 and in 2020.
Okay, that's good.
I am.
That's good. One anecdotal story I have, I looked at my circle of friends and relatives, and I see a slight advantage, a very anecdotal, informal poll of these individuals. And there are more Donald Trump supporters than Kamala Harris supporters. And most of these individuals are Democrats.
That's a good thing.
And I was like, wow, they are looking at Donald Trump harder than they have in 2020. I was,
Memories are short. Remember that.
that's true. That's true. That's true. So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about in our next show?
Other than the national elections, I think we could have more than enough to cut with that one.
Indeed, indeed. Excellent, Jimmy. Well, again, I really appreciate it. This has been in, so that's really great. And I'm looking forward to next week. And to our audience, thank you for being with us again. This is From the Margins with James Affont and David Washington. And please, 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 please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and all podcasts across the Jay and Washington Network. And of course, let us know what you have to say. I love the comments. We'll love to respond to them. Let's keep it respectful. Let's keep it tactful. And let's just have an honest conversation based on facts and not feelings. So again, thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll see you the next time.
See you next time. Take care.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye now.